So, all right. So for those of you watching, Matt Beer says, what is a general formula to set your PPC budget amount in? And in your mind, what order of priority should the ad types be in conversion? Bottom of the funnel, and then for generating viewership, top of the funnel. If you have, say, 1,000 items, how would you determine which items you run ads for? So basically the question is, how do you structure your campaigns?
Well, basically, so for a total budget, I would let your margins and your cash flow kind of determine that for a total budget. But for ad types, I would definitely be in the bottom of the funnel. I'd be definitely working with broad modifiers and exact campaigns to push the rank as much as possible, because you always want to put money to where you can gain rank quickly. And then for the top of the funnel, it really depends on the brand size. Smaller brands, I don't really do a lot of top of funnel. I'll do some of like the purchase remarketing and things like that, but I'm not really gonna jump into sponsored display in an early stage until it's an established brand name with some decent search volume traffic.
That's such a good point. I'm glad you said that. Is that, sometimes people hear like, oh, you should do all these things because some PPC influencer, which I love them all, many of them are speakers at my summits, will say like, hey, here's these things you could do and it could bring in sales. And they have screenshots of like, maybe it was like, a huge brand, a multi-8-figure brand on Amazon, and this helped them. But, if you're doing...
when you're big, okay, you got to think of sponsored display like this. So if you have a well-established listing like Himalayan salt, potassium, magnesium, things of that nature, that is ideal for sponsored display, because when you're fishing in the same lake and you're the number one seller in that lake, the only way you're going to catch more fish is by dumping more fish into that lake. And that's how I see sponsored display and top of funnel paying off. Sorry about the kids. They had
No. That's okay. So, but the point is that you have a lot of times people are like trying to like try these like, full funnel, top of funnel, whatever. Until you've exhausted all the possibilities for where people are buying, which is search-based keywords, sponsored products, don't go crazy with the top of funnel strategies. Right. So basically for smaller brands, what would you say would be that larger brand, and when should they start investing in top of funnel?
I would say when your search volume starts to jump up above 200 on your brand name, that's a good sign. When you're starting to get people searching for you, that's kind of when you want to really jump in the top of funnel. Because you
200 per month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, on a general helium, that's like when I would start to recommend it. But I mean, when you start breaking past the 7-figure mark, then it starts to get interesting. And with the smaller brands, using something like product targeting, I might do, depending on the product. So it wouldn't be just keyword. It would be ASINs as well, generally, depending on the product though. Because certain products work really well with, like for instance, compliments. Compliments rarely work with anyone's product unless you have one of those products that really is a true compliment. So, for peppercorns, which is another listing that I've managed, it's, a top seller, compliments clean up with that because they go over all the grinders, and the people that are buying the grinders are buying my peppercorns. And so when you have a correlation with a product like that, then you can get into those things. My advice would be to slowly branch into the SD, and same thing with sponsored brands. Just make sure you use broad modifiers because they will go all over the place.
Okay, got it. So don't let the algorithm go wild. All right, Amit Trivedi asks, launched a new product, kept price low, so ACOS is 70%, and now increasing price is causing add to cart button to disappear from a search page. Ouch. What's the best way to increase price without getting flagged?
Well, that's a buy box issue. And I'm dealing with actually quite a few of those because a lot of people have raised prices recently because of inflations and rising fees and shipping costs and all of those things of that nature. So I've been dealing with this a lot. The best way I would recommend is to slowly inch it to your target, but that's not a guarantee. I mean, they do have a lock somewhere in the back of the system, and then they compare you to other items. And then really my best advice for you is, instead of opening up cases via email, get on the phone with them. Sometimes the issue can be with your business price. But usually some of these guys in the catalog team can actually point you in the right direction. Or you need to make another argument. Like, for instance, I have a salt and pepper combo set that does very, very well. And they took away our buy box. And we had to explain to 3 different calls that we're selling organic peppercorns. We're not selling regular peppercorns. We're selling the organic. So they cost $6 a pound to anybody who buys them in bulk. So we need to have enough margin to make money on this product.
Right. To pay all your new fees, Amazon.
Right. And then some of the trigger words that you want to use with seller support is, do you imagine how much money Amazon is losing? You mentioned that.
Oh, that's a good one. I've not heard that one before.
Yeah,
I've always heard about, making the customer, whatever.
No, it's not.
Can you imagine how much money Amazon's losing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good trigger word.
That's a good one. All right, so write that down, folks. That is worth the cost of admission here. Basically, just use that at some point. Make sure it makes sense. But imagine how much money Amazon's losing because of this issue. I could see now they're probably, because they're all being watched. They know they're being watched. Whoever you're interacting with, it's not like they have this superpower and they can do whatever they want. Like, they're kind of in a little bit of a box, and they're probably stressed out that an algorithm is watching them, and so that's probably something they know. Like, oh, I better really take care of this one then. All right. So Matt Beer says, do you believe any ad type is fine to use for a launch?
No, I would not. I would not. Generally, I would stay away from sponsors.
Oh, you got real quiet there all of a sudden.
Oh,
there you go.
Can you hear me? Okay. No, I would not use sponsored display or DSP or anything like that for a launch, for sure. I like to boil into like the top 20 or so keywords that really matter. I'm going to focus on, creating some exact campaigns. Probably like the top 3 to 5 keywords would be in 1-word campaigns. Further down the list, I might stack those based on like a keyword theme, a family tree theme. And I would pretty much start with that. I do start with autos. But I would definitely stay away from sponsored display on a launch, unless you have a feeling that this is going to do really well with product targeting. Then maybe you could do some product targeting out the gate. But generally, I wouldn't recommend that.
Got it. So again, focus on buyer-based keywords, essentially.
Yeah. Get your conversion rate up. Get your CTR up. That gets ranked up.
There you go.
Still cutting in and out?
Yeah. Whenever you lean back,
okay,
your microphone doesn't seem to catch you as much.
Okay.
All right. So real quick, we also had, before I get into a couple more questions, I will just say this about questions. We will respect Dan's time. Dan is a busy man. Getting products like Himalayan salt ranked number 1. So if I'm going to assume he needs to go, and I'm going to respect that. So at the top of the hour, we will be shutting off. So if you want to get your questions in, get them in now, because this is just like high school or college where everyone stares around at each other, which actually have lots of questions in the queue. But what'll happen is people will start asking lots of questions at the end, and we will run out of time. And so right now, if you want to get your questions answered, the best time is now. So get your questions in while you can. David Bermudez had shared, when you asked for an emoji, he had shared my ACOS my ACOS has a lot of area of improvement. It's about 78% after a relaunch for out of stock. Yikes. That doesn't sound good, but you can continue to work on that. And so he said, what about me? I'll share my depressive ACOS. All right. Since you shared a emoji here, and it sounds like he was going after when I gave everybody who shared an emoji, because it was around that same time frame at the beginning. a free course. Email podcast@myamazonguy.com and I will hook you up with a free course on Mag School. All right. So back to questions. Where were we? Oh, so we've got Lanu Satkarm asks, what should be a PPC strategy to uplift the rank of an old running product, which is currently ranked between 900 to 1,000 without any advertisement? Okay, so it's basically hiding.
Yeah.
You could hide a dead body where it's at right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
know if I
not
should
even
use
the
that word
second
on
page.
YouTube. Get us banned, but
That's not even the second page. That's the last page.
right. I didn't even know it was that far.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I don't think. I mean, like generally, like what you get about 360. I thought it was 360 products when you look up a general search term.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can kind of see that when you're dealing with like helium. But to uplift an old running product, okay, so if you're buried, first of all, you got to find out what's working. What works for this product. So the first thing I would do is either bury myself with a search query report and go start digging into what actually converts and what actually is working. Or I mentioned it on the PPC Mastery Summit. I'm a huge fan of Michael Fatchen's Ngram. That thing is amazing. I mean, it's literally a dipstick for telling buyer intent. I mean, he has it set up running for ACOS management, but you have all the data there for conversion management. So I actually just add a column and I'll put that in, and then I'll run that across the search term. And what that'll do is it'll give me a lot of data points. I'll get far more data points from the individual words that are broken out of each keyword to kind of determine, okay, is this optimized right for this keyword? Am I running the right PPC for these keywords? So I really, that's kind of like one of my go-to things is hit up that Ngram and just figure out what really works for this product. And a lot of times, like when you look at search query or the Ngram, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, oh, I mean, I wish I could go de-index for these 20 keywords right now. I don't want them. Just get rid of them, because it's all about getting the conversion rate up and the click-through rate up. Both of those, it's a 3-piece set with market visibility as well. But I would be working on trying to figure out what worked and then doubling down on that. So find those keywords, launch the exact campaigns, go after any halo keywords, broad modifiers, start slowly building rank.
What would be examples of halo keywords?
Well, for instance, potassium, magnesium, right, is a main keyword. Potassium, magnesium for women would be a long tail. So I would be trying to build up anything with those keywords in it, because halo effect is real, and that is how you get to the top.
Awesome. All right. Crazy Fun says best campaigns for low search volume keywords like less than 1,000.
Stack campaign. Definitely a stack
tell
campaign.
us a little bit about stack campaigns.
Stack campaigns work great. So yeah, to reiterate a little bit from the Mastery Summit, but I like stack campaigns for 2 reasons. A, you take all your high ACOS campaigns and you dump it into one, and you have it controlled under one budget. So that's always a big boom. The other area where I really like them is when you have a lot of low search volume keywords. So I would probably sort through some of those and maybe put some of those in a stack campaign. And then I would go look at creating some broad campaigns. And sometimes, a lot of people don't think about this, but sometimes you can get too granular if your niche is smaller and you're getting too granular with the broad. You should go back a level. So if, generally I would like 3 keywords in a broad campaign, just to kind of keep it together. But sometimes, like say for instance, potassium, magnesium, lemon, I'm only getting so much through that. I would go back, kill that campaign, and go up a level and go to potassium, magnesium. So as your product grows, you actually want to try to kind of grow your search volume as well, obviously. And so that would be what I would try to do there in that situation.
Love it. All right. So next up, Matt Beer asks, regarding bidding, should you simply check your search term report and search query report, which will tell you how to update bidding? How do you update bids and how do you decide?
No, I update bids when I'm in the campaign manager. I'm not going to use a search term report for that, or really search query. I'm going to be in campaign manager and then looking at the metrics. One of the most important things is you need a lot of different date ranges. It's not about just what has this campaign done recently, what did it do last week, what did it do the month before. So those are questions that you have to ask. And, so when I'm managing, I do almost all my bid changes directly in campaign manager.
Oh, wow. So that definitely is the most manual way to do it. But
yeah,
you're saying that gives you the most control?
Yeah, it's just the way I've been doing it for 20 years.
Sure.
Well, since PPC came out in 20.
Yeah, pre bulk sheets, pre the new style bulk sheets, pre all these software tools.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of bulk sheets.
Okay.
I like to get in and see the placements. I feel like the data gets too segregated. Another thing that I like to do is I'll build a conversion report. And in that conversion report, I'm going to take layers out of campaign manager. I'm going to like directly export. And I built this spreadsheet that kind of uses some macros. And what it will do is it'll stack the data all over the top of itself. So I'll run lifetime, export that. I'll run a 30-day range. I'll export that. I'll run a 30-day range, after that. And then I'll run like the last 5 days or 7 days. And then what this report will do is it'll stack all the information over itself. So I like to use that a lot for identifying like where my bid changes should be. Because the other thing that we do with that is now it doesn't work with the stack campaigns, but with exact campaigns and a good solid strategy for ranking, what you can do is I have a formula in there that'll strip the keyword out of the campaign name and put it in the column next to it. And then I'll export helium and I'll get the sponsored rank, the search volume, the organic rank, and I add that up to that sheet. And because you have historical data, what's really cool is like, say I'm looking at October against September, I can see my rank in September was 20 and my rank in October is 10, then I know it's going in the right direction. I'm probably not going to make a lot of bid changes. And the other problem is search volume changes a lot. It really does. So if you're sitting there looking at this campaign and it's going down and you're like, why is it going down? No, I need to feed it more. I need to feed it more. And really the search volume has gone down. And now that you're feeding it more, you're overbidding. And so, I like to get as much of a whole view before I actually make changes. So, I would definitely recommend, putting together a CBR report like that. I mean, you can just literally export these, and since the campaign name is the same, you just sort it and, just make sure it's stacked right. So I have lifetime and then, September, October, and then whatever the last week.
Awesome. Well, that's interesting. So then once you have this, you're looking at all these different data points before you make a decision on the bid. And like how drastic do you make bid changes?
It depends on the situation. I mean, if there's no impressions coming through a campaign, I might go high. If it's a high volume or super high volume, I'm going to be very careful with making those changes. So I'll probably do less. But most of the time, I'll feed into like TOS optimization. So I'm going to lower the bid, push TOS a bit if it's a ranking campaign, and that's the general strategy there. But I mean, sometimes I've gone up as 50 cents, as high as 50 cents, but that supplements. And if you're not getting impressions, it makes sense to do that.
Got it. All right. So it just depends on the situation. Look at a lot of metrics. I always like to think of it as, people sometimes get stuck on like, one or two metrics to look at, but you kind of have to think of like, if you're a pilot flying the plane, you can crash if you don't pay attention to the whole big picture.
Right.
Like there was in the 70s, not too far from where we live, there was a plane, I think it was in the 70s. There was a plane, I think it was around Christmas too, that like it crashed into the Everglades because they were so focused on, there was like this little warning light that was telling them that like the gear might be down or something might not be working properly. So like there was 3 pilots in the cockpit, and all of them were so focused on this that they missed the fact that they're losing altitude, and then they crashed. Wow. So don't be that pilot. Focus on the big picture. And so sometimes we get like the shiny object. It's like, oh, I got to focus on, whatever the latest trend is. But I like that. You're looking at the holistic, what all's happening. All right. Maz Khan says, should we change our campaign structures at this time, given Christmas is just among us?
Well, I generally don't do a lot of campaign structure changing during Q4. It can be very dangerous. It really kind of depends on what kind of item you have, though. I mean, some sellers will have a great Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and then sales are just kind of okay till the end of the year. And then you have those sellers that are like so Christmas geared that Black Friday and Cyber Monday is nice, but nothing beats December 20th. And, December 21st. And I rep more than a few of those companies where it just gets crazy that last day. So I've yet to see a Cyber Monday or a Black Friday, match that. So kind of depends on the situation you're in, but trying to change a lot of campaign structure at this time would not be what I would be trying to do.
Yeah, get through the holiday season, then start doing some experiments. Because at this point, it's like Indiana Jones, and the ball's rolling down towards him, and he just has to get out of the way of it.
Yep.
When the ball's rolling down, the ball's rolling down. Like the ball's rolling down at you right now.
Now, with that said,
okay,
if the keyword isn't like really doing anything, I mean, I would do something about that, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't get it running and it's not really creating a lot of orders for you, and you have very limited risk manipulating that keyword, then do it. But if it's something that's incredibly important, that's bringing you a lot of sales, then
or if it's just medium importance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like swing for the fences in January. All right, cool. Ross Thompson says thanks. Matt DeBeer also says, if you have, say, 1,000 items, how would you determine which ones you run PPC ads for? So if you have a catalog with 1,000 plus products, do you run ads for all of them? Because in his case, there's no way he's going into every single campaign if he structures it the way.
Right. Well, when you have a lot of ASINs, that changes things. But I mean, it's Pareto's law. I mean, 20% of those listings are creating 80% of your money. And that's where you need to focus. So you need to find what's selling and go after those. And then how many of those 1,000 ASINs are in variations? So I wouldn't be so worried about running campaigns to every single variation, other than, in a color situation, obviously you could do the reds and the blues, but that's easy to manage. If you're pushing all your PPC to one product, and you just have the color specific keywords for the others, it's not as hard to manage as you think it is, because I do manage several clients that have more than 1,000 ASINs, and I really don't have a problem managing it because, again, 20% is running 80% of things. So focus on that 20%, make sure that's clean, and everything else usually falls in line, especially if you use an Ngram with that or something like that.
Awesome. So focus on the 200 products that are doing the best.
Yeah. Get that list limited. I would start with the top 50, really, or top 20. Start there because it takes a while to do all the keyword research on the optimization. And then if you have a graphics team, you got to get the graphic brief going, and then you get the graphics done. it's gonna be a process. So I mean, start with what is the best sellers, work your way down that list, and for determining what I would run the PPC on, anything that's selling well, I'm generally going to focus on.
I'm going to assume there's probably a lot of overlap of products, like for example, blue cup and red cup. Mm-hmm. So in cases like this, like let's say blue cup, red cup, and green cup are, child variations of the same parent. How do you structure child parent variations?
Well, I'm going to go after either the black, gray, or white because those are usually the best sellers.
Sorry, what was that?
I'm going to push all the regular advertising towards the black, gray, or white, and then just hit the colors. So if you have, red cup, or I wouldn't do red cup. I would try to get more specific than that. Try to find 2 or 3 words that kind of hone in on that intent, and then build a stack campaign for all your red keywords. Put 5 of them in there. See what they do. And if you have a lot of color-coded keywords, then do a couple stack campaigns. But managing the variations should be relatively easy.
Got it. Grigory Lingu asks, hi, coming back from 2-3 weeks out of stock, what is the PPC strategy to go with? Thanks.
Well, after being out of stock for 2 or 3 weeks, turn it on, start pushing it. Usually you can come back from that pretty quick. One thing I would recommend before going out of stock is price suppressing the item because it preserves rank longer. If you're raising your price, you're going to lower your rank when you come back. So that was something that I did for a long time. And then I kind of had, a fellow mastermind group say, man, I don't think that works. And here's why. And here's the data. I'm like, geez, you're right. I ran my rank down, instead of up. And then when I came back at a lower level. So I would worry about the price suppressing. You just put it out of the min max. Don't do anything crazy. Don't go $10 over it because sometimes Amazon can have a conniption on that. But
when you say price suppress,
so you have in managed inventory, you have the min and the max price. So I would just raise my price a little bit above the max price, and then Amazon's going to price suppress the listing. And then
meaning that you don't have the buy box,
right? But you don't have inventory either. So, but it does preserve rank longer.
So okay, that's an interesting trick I've never heard. So basically, you force Amazon to take away the buy box from you, but you have no inventory. So is that you do that when you get down to 0, or when you have like 2?
It's not like general, like Amazon's not taking the buy box away from you. You're taking it away from yourself. So
right.
It's not like you got to go deal with an ASIN suppression or something like that, which is tedious, to say the least. Yeah.
Got it.
I would definitely do the price suppression.
Okay. Interesting. I had not heard that one before. But just to be clear, you do this when you have like just a few units left, or you do this when you're at like 0?
Oh, I do it when I'm at 0. Yeah, just let it go. And when you hit 0, boom, do it. Because if you have those few units left, they're just going to be stuck there. And, there's no point in leaving units there. Then you're just going to take monthly inventory fees, for no reason. Doesn't make sense.
Huh. That's interesting.
I mean, I would recommend trying to keep some for FBM just to kind of fill that gap. Ideally, that's the best situation. So hold some back if you can, and then bridge that gap as much as possible with FBM. The difference between FBA and FBM is staggering. So, like with Himalayan salt, I was telling you, we sell 700 bags a day of that. When we had back in COVID, we had our shipment, the boat gets stuck forever, and we had a time, where we actually ran out, and that's when you go to FBM, we went from 700 to 100. It was like, oh, okay, and then we weren't making any money because we had to ship it. Because if you want to conquer Himalayan salt, you got to play the price battle, so the margins are low.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Is there a formula to determine what the PPC budget should be?
So is that an overall budget or is that a campaign level budget? I mean, the overall budget really needs to be determined by your cash flow and what you're comfortable with. That should be determined. Your margin should be determining what your budget should be. When you're dealing with individual campaigns, then you need to ask yourself, what is this campaign doing? Am I using this campaign to push rank? Then you want to give it more budget. If if it's just an ACOS driven, then you can do the ACOS formula for that, and just follow that.
Okay. And then Matt also asks, do you track your keyword rankings in Helium 10? I think you've already answered this question.
Yes, I do. And not only that, the campaigns that mean the most to me, I'm going to put my organic rank in the campaign title when I make a change.
You might have to leave.
So the top 20 or so keywords that really matter the most. Okay, so it's a high volume. I'm in this week. I'm making this change. I look it up. My organic rank is 3. I'm going to put that in the notes, and then I'm going to put a little note with the date that I made the change with the organic rank, and a little note of what that change was. Am I leaning in the TOS, or was I managing ACOS, or was I concerned about something that was going on there? So I like to have that in front of me, because when I go and look at it next week and I see my organic rank is 5, I know I didn't make the right changes. Or if my organic rank goes up to 2 or 1, then I know I am making the right changes. So that way, the things that matter the most important campaigns, I have a plan, with the campaign title and my rank. And, then when you're dealing with that kind of situation, you can start going down all the low volume keywords and start building up your halo there. That helps you on your top keyword. Watch the rank. But yeah, I actually take the time to put those ranks into my campaign titles.
Interesting.
Not on a stack campaign, on an individual keyword level, though.
Okay, but the individual keywords you put, and you're constantly changing those?
Yeah, when I make changes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, high volume keywords, you change once a week. Mid volume, you're going to change once every 2 to 3 weeks. The low volume, you change every 4 weeks. You might have 10,000 campaigns out there, but you only really need to focus on the top 1,000, really. Okay,
so here's a question that I know some people are going to have, and it might even be in there. So maybe I'm jumping ahead. So you have a product that's doing 700 units a day. So that's probably doing a lot of PPC, a lot of impressions, a lot of clicks, a lot of spend, a lot of sales,
a lot of PPC on it.
Lots of data. How often are you optimizing the campaigns for the Himalayan salt?
For Himalayan salt itself, once a week. That keyword, yes. The rest of them, every other week.
Really?
With Himalayan salt, we've gotten up there so high organically, we do not spend a lot of advertising at all. You'd be surprised. There's about 15 campaigns running. That's it. I don't want to spend a lot of money there. The margin isn't there. I mean, it's great. We sell 700 a day, but we don't make a ton of money on it.
Yeah.
So
I would have thought you would say you were like daily.
Yeah.
You or someone on your team is going in and checking.
Well, I mean, we check it. Yeah, we check it to make sure things are going on, but we're not making changes daily. I don't need to with that product. Now, something like potassium magnesium, where I'm, the top seller of that as well, but there's a lot of campaigns going in there. That's supplements. So, that product has the kitchen sink. So it takes a little while to manage it, but hey, we sell 240 bottles of it a day.
Okay. Well, okay. So that 240 bottles a day, also very high volume product.
Yeah.
How often are you optimizing campaigns?
With potassium magnesium?
Yeah.
Every week. The high volume, the top 5-10 campaigns every week. But the rest of it every other week or every 4 weeks. I focus on really moving.
Because I hear so many people in the PPC world talk about like, oh yeah, you should be in like, daily or every other day. I'm like, okay, that just seems like overkill.
It is overkill. Stop tinkering. Because if you're sitting there changing your budgets that much, your data is going to be watered down. Don't do that. do not water down your data. You need good data. And, I would not recommend changing things daily.
Yeah. No,
Not
no.
unless
And
you
well,
feel real fire. Like if you had an ACOS campaign that was 20% and then it went to 100 the next day, maybe I might do something, but I would probably actually search around in the background more, and see if there isn't other factors.
well, and also too, if you're talking about like, you have a product doing 5 to 10 sales a day, you don't need to check it all that often. And if you have one day you're at 20% ACOS and the day you're at 100, don't freak out. Give it more time,
Yeah. Yeah. I would, in that situation, I'd be looking to see if a negation went wrong. Usually sometimes that can do it. And those are hard to unpack. Like, that keyword shouldn't have been negated.
Oh, I didn't mean to negate Himalayan salt as a phrase.
Yeah, well, Himalayan salt wouldn't be the example. I mean, if somebody negated salt, I'd be screwed. But
yeah.
But yeah, it's just you don't have to tinker. I don't know why people say that. I like to let things breathe, and I only jump on things if there's a fire. There's a real fire, and generally, if I'm going to make big changes on that campaign that went crazy, I'm going to try to get 2 or 3 days of data, unless it's really pushing all the orders. That's another thing that I started to kind of work with a little bit, is like when you're building out your keyword research sheet, what I'll do is I'll build my launch guide into that sheet. And then when you have these campaigns running, what I'll do is I'll go and do the conversion formulas, or I'll get somebody on my staff to fill this out. And what they're going to do is you'll have broad, phrase, and exact. And I'll do, okay, this one was 17%. It brought me 20 orders in the last month. This one's 19%. It brought me 50, and then I'll use that to coax the conversion rate there. So, that's a good, you always want to know how valuable something is to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I kind of went up a level when I started tracking the actual orders, not just the conversion rate. Because when you're looking at it on an Excel spreadsheet, it really tells you, okay, this is the one campaign that like I got to be really delicate with. Kid gloves,
Right. This is the one that's going to make the difference. Okay, interesting. All right. Abdullah Khan asks, in PPC, I noticed that there are 25 clicks on a keyword, but DPVs are 47. Do you know why? DPV, why am I drawing a blank?
I'm drawing a blank on it too right now.
Okay, we're not sure what you mean, Abdullah.
I know it's in the campaign manager.
So DPV.
Daily page view, that's it.
Oh, daily page views. Okay.
Yeah, 25 clicks, but a keyword daily page views are 47. Okay. Well, that will be because of ACOS. Yeah, that will 25 clicks on a keyword. Well, and that's also not.
But where are they seeing the daily page views?
You're not including
where is that metric?
It should be. They added it to. You're going to have to open up your columns. I believe it's in here.
Oh, okay.
It's not something I really focus on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the internet is nothing adds up.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You would think clicks would be higher than page views, like as if somebody clicks, but then it didn't actually let the page load, which I know that happens sometimes, like on Facebook, if you're doing Facebook advertising.
Okay, here you go. So, number of detailed page views of all products attributed to your ads. Attribution depends on campaign type. Okay.
What do you got for us there, Professor?
Okay, so all right, so that does take organic out of there. That's got to be ACOS somehow. That's got to be ACOS is my guess, but I'm not exactly sure on that one. You got me on one there.
All right. Well, we all learned something. Everybody's learning. Yeah. And one thing I will say about the PPC summits is I hear from a lot of people in the space that speak is they like to see what everyone else is saying too, because we all kind of are learning from each other. It's a rising tide.
Oh yeah. The mastermind groups are amazing. I mean, I've learned so much stuff, like stack campaigns wasn't originally my idea. It was a friend of mine that put it in my head. He's like, look at what this is doing here. I'm like, oh, wow. I got to play with this. And that's how it goes. And then we test and we test and we test. And then we go back and like, okay, I used it in this niche. I used it in this niche. I used it in these niches. And then, okay. And does it work in all niches? It works in all niches. Oh, okay. That's good.
Nice. All right. So Matt Beer asks, do you use anything else other than Amazon Seller Central's ads for PPC?
Yeah, I use quite a few things. Well, some of my clients are using PackView for managing their software, and then I consult and then help them manage that. There's a lot of AI out there. I'm not really in love with it yet, believe it or not. I've tried some of them and wasn't seeing the results that I wanted to see. And then when I took back control, I saw the results I wanted to see.
Oh, gotcha.
So I think AI is a little bit behind. So if you're saying management of ads, no, I really don't use much, but I am going to lean on Helium and Jungle Scout and Data Dive and things of that nature for making informed decisions.
All right. You heard it here, folks. Skipping around a little bit. Yuponkwi Pepper says January is good in sales for us, but a bit less than December. But February is pretty bad. Well, people are using their gift cards in January, so generally January is one of the better non-Q4 months. Yep. So is it good practice to set up a 30-day Prime exclusive discount during the whole January, or better to set it up for February?
Well, February is pretty bad. I would not set it up in February.
I didn't hear that last part.
I said if February is pretty bad, I don't know if I'd really be trying to give away money at that time. I just kind of let it be what it is and then push January. If you're getting the sales, lean in, to what, where the traffic is. So, like Christmas is excellent because it gives everybody traffic, but I'll tell you what, in supplements, it doesn't mean much. Yeah. But next month they'll have their Christmas in January.
Okay.
So, with the Prime exclusive discounts, I would just run those in January. Just try to keep things up. Maybe you'll get an organic boost for February that'll kind of help you buffer that. But February is a notoriously down month for almost everybody anyway, other than people that have Valentine's Day products, things of that nature that get those boosts. February is usually a rough month.
Yeah, February is a rough month. I'm in some giftable products, and usually the week leading up to Valentine's Day tends to be better than the rest of the month, but February can be tough.
Yeah.
All right. Asif Khan says, we're running low on inventory and have only a few items left. If we raise prices and the buy box gets suppressed, this is a good strategy to avoid going out of stock.
We already kind of talked about that one.
Yeah, I think that we might have already covered that one.
Yeah. But
so basically you would just go completely out of stock and then let the buy box get suppressed.
Yeah, price suppress it.
Okay.
Now, I hear there's new methods coming out that are even better than that, but I haven't heard it yet. So
got it. Marnie says, I only have 1 week left of inventory on my Hero ASIN. Next order will come in about 6 more weeks. Should I turn off PPC on that variation? My other variation are also selling decent, which I've also turned on PPC about a month already. How bad is this?
I'm sorry, I got distracted by the door.
No. I was just saying this question was basically they're running low on stock. They have about a week left and they won't get any for about 6 weeks in their Hero product. And they have other variations that are selling fairly well. And they have PPC.
Go ahead and turn off the PPC and try to get that inventory to last as long as you possibly can. Try to get it to last as long as possible. And then again, I would recommend a price suppression in here. But I do know that there's some sort of big webinar coming up in the next week or something where they were talking about they found something better than that.
Who's they?
I don't remember. I'm in so many darn webinars and
gotcha. It wasn't like an official Amazon.
I'd have to go searching for it, but
Because Amazon usually doesn't come out and be like, "Hey, here's something we discovered about our own."
No. I'm talking about a mastermind group. Somebody running.
No, I figured.
Yeah.
It was
Might even be my Amazon.
in jest.
I follow so many of them; it's impossible to kind of
Sure. Or someone has the next big thing. So, and sometimes people just recirculate what was a big thing 3 years ago. I discovered this. It's like, no, people talking about that for years. All right. So then Shafiq Didar says, "Hi dears. Hope you both are fine. We launched our new product this week. My PPC gets clicks but won't get sales because of that. I stopped the PPC. What is your thought on this?"
Well, there's a lot of context missing in this.
Yeah.
My PPC gets clicks but won't get sales. Well, why is that? Is it a relevant keyword? That's
a good point.
You might not be relevant for that keyword. One of the things that I've really noticed with dealing with buyer intent is, I think these keywords are relevant. I think these keywords are highly relevant. I've optimized thousands of products, but when you actually go and look at that keyword on Amazon, you'll see different products, and that means you're not relevant. So that's the first thing I would check is, are these really relevant keywords? How many clicks did you get? Where did those clicks come from? Do they come from top of search? Are they all coming from product pages? If they're coming from product pages, you don't know. You don't know anything, so you gotta have informed data to make a decision. So, there would need to be a lot more context to that question for me to kind of really answer it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so this will probably be our last question of the day. Here is Dave Rambo. Love the last name. Usually do 30 to 40K a month, but this is my first year and sales are down right now. Nothing changed. Baby products market. Can this be due to buyer exhaustion from Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Could it be due to people buying giftable products instead?
I think it could be definitely part of both. I've noticed that, my supplements usually get like a slight tick. It's not much, but they usually get a slight tick. And this year, none of the supplement companies are getting that tick. None of them. It's across the board. So I think people are more focused on buying gifts right now, and they're not really focused on things of that nature. So there was a little bit of fatigue that I noticed after Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but they ran that deal since that kicked in November 12th or something like that. There were 12 days of Prime Day deals, leading into that. So that's going to lead up to the exhaustion too, because of the way the calendar is playing out this year. Cyber Monday is
was later
December. So
yeah,
it made my November look bad. And it really wasn't bad. I had a great November.
Right.
But you got to unpack the numbers like that. And with this calendar being as weird as it is, it's the sales seem to be spread out a lot more than they normally.
Yeah. Is that Thanksgiving is always the fourth Thursday of November, and this year just happened to be the way it fell, the last possible day it could be, the 28th.
Yeah.
So that just pushes everything back. All right. So if people want to learn from you or follow you, where should they go?
AMZelite.com, or follow me on LinkedIn, Daniel Head.
We did
on LinkedIn, Daniel Head. Look me up. I put out free newsletters and interesting.
And your website?
LinkedIn is probably the best right now.
Okay. MyMZ.
Oh, that's fine too.
Okay. They can go there and then.
I'm a rookie with those .com sites. So,
all right.
20 years of Amazon, and I've built some .com stores, but my coding isn't what it used to be. It's changed a lot.
No worries. Well, we appreciate having you on.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it.